This is our 8th session on our bi-weekly scheduled Pathways demo sessions, and this week is hosted by none other than David Story, Distinguished Toastmaster and our current Division C Director. And I sent out on the email there, did you know that as of that day, Division C was granted the Silver Online Ovation Award for over 90% of their paid clubs meeting online. Fantastic, David. And it was so good to see that the areas are Area 31 is gold, Area 32 is gold, Area 33 is bronze, and Area 34 is gold. It's just wonderful to see that online business happening. So today, we're kind of doing our wrap up to these. This is our 8th presentation that the three of us have been doing. And David's going to present something called review and questions and answers. So if you have questions about pathways, or you have some answers for us, or you want some answers from David, or the other two of us might chirp in once in a while, feel free to ask. But here's our presenter, David Story. Take it away, David.
Well, thank you, and welcome everyone. It is indeed my pleasure to be hosting the 8th. I had nothing planned as far as a lesson plan for tonight, because in my mind this was going to be a question and answer period whereby you, the members, can ask questions of us and say, I remember we did this 6 weeks ago. Can you show it to me again? What's changed in Pathways? And that's really what I want to help you with. And I know that all along that's been the three of us, our goal is to help you with Pathways, so that especially now that the legacy is ending, the end of this month, is getting your clubs involved on Pathways and being your local expert within your clubs on how to do that, so you can help those members out on a quick start. So I am going to open the floor and say, how can we assist you or answer your questions? So feel free.
I do have a question.
What, Tekla?
I was doing really well. I thought I knew Pathways, and then I went into Pathways. I noticed Basecamp homepage had changed, and I've been trying to navigate it. Is there anything positive about this new homepage?
I think there is, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to share my screen right now, and I'm going to bring it up, and we can look at it. Everyone see my screen? So this is essentially, I've logged in and all I did was click welcome David, and this is where I was at. And to me, it's very simple because it offers me, do I want to go to my club, or pull down, do I want to go to any of my other clubs, or do I want to log in as the Basecamp manager? And to have that there instead of clicking to get several screens in, I like that, because now it just makes it easier for the members to get going. But I don't know if this is the one you're talking about, Tekla, or if it's going in via the Pathways one being changed.
I'm talking about the Basecamp homepage.
For the member or for the Basecamp manager?
Basecamp homepage for the member. You know how it's changed?
Okay, I'm going to go there. Okay, yeah, it is different. I mean, all the same stuff is there as it was before. They just reorganized it, right? And it just takes a bit to get used to. But I like the fact that you could just go right down to the bottom and go to your paths. Open curriculum, open curriculum, open curriculum. Now, interestingly enough, I'm in 4 paths, or 3 paths plus the Pathways Mentor Program. I don't see my other path in there. That's interesting.
Take a look through there. Yeah.
Well, this is the educational transcript. Yeah, so I'll click on that.
How many paths?
And that's better. There we go. They're all there. Isn't
that weird, eh? They only show 3 in the other one.
Yeah, I think that's just a synopsis, right? I don't know. But again, it's just a matter of familiarizing yourself with the changes, because it's the same material. They just organized it differently. and changed colors. I guess it was just more aesthetically pleasing this way. But once you're used to pathways, as some of us have been, this doesn't throw you so much. It's going to be the new people, subtle changes like this may throw them if they're not used to navigating pathways. And it's like we have said all along in all of the classes that we've been teaching online, just do it. The more you do it, the easier it's going to become.
Yeah, it's Joyce.
Yeah, go ahead and speak right up, because I can't see
Okay.
everybody when I'm sharing. So
Yeah, no problem. I'm just kind of curious. We do have quite a few people that haven't quite dove into pathways yet in our club. So from an executive perspective, or even from a mentorship perspective, what's the best way to encourage them? And then if, you know, we do have one or two that are keen and they want in, like, where would you start to direct them so they can get off to a good start? Like, what are some of the key things just to really get them started in pathways?
well, first of all, I always ask what their comfort level is using a computer.
Okay.
Because some people just, they can't spell computer, they don't want to look at a computer, and they don't want anything to do with it. And that's where being a member that understands how this works, CSOD, you can then offer your member options, right? Whereby they can have printed materials direct from Toastmasters International at an additional fee, or they can have someone log in with them and actually print out their projects, as opposed to them struggling to go through. I have 2 members in my club who don't own computers. And Bob doesn't have any computers, but I have his login, and I go in and I print out his projects and I give it to him on paper, and that's enough to keep him going. So you have to understand what it is your members want, right? What their comfort level is. But if they are comfortable with computers, it's sit down, get them to choose their path first thing, right? So if I log out of pathways here and I go to the very beginning, here's where you're going to take them. Choose your path.
Okay.
Right there. So when they log in, they click on your name, you want them to choose their path. And it's just a simple questionnaire where they go through and they answer some questions, which then basically CSOD Pathways says, these are the 3 paths that based on your answers are best suited for what you want to do. Doesn't mean you have to take them. You have the option of choosing one of those or totally ignoring it and choosing one of the 8 other paths, because there's a total of 11.
Is
And
there
that's
a
up to the,
recommendation for a path that if somebody just said, what would you recommend to for somebody who's brand new?
you know, a lot of people when they started did that with presentation mastery, and I'm finding now reading more and more that that's not necessarily the best thing. Again, it's what does the member want to get out of it, right? That's why I like to say this thing doesn't take a long time, 5 minutes answering questions, and then let it help you to choose a path you think you're going to like. Because like some of the other legacy programs, you imagine you went through your CC manual and then you had the option of choosing what advanced manuals you wanted.
That's right, yeah.
Right? If you just pick one for the member, for example, innovative planning, and then the person had absolutely no ambition of doing any of that, they're not going to continue doing the projects. So you want to do something that they're interested in that's going to meet their goals. That's how I feel anyways. Does that help?
Yeah, no, that's good. We are a corporate club, so most have computers, and some of their biggest challenge is time and coming to a lunch hour meeting, and so some will just keep coming to meetings or canceling coming to meetings, but really want to get them more focused on the education side of the program, right?
Right.
So they get
and you do know that there's people who, once capable of doing so, are willing to come to your club and do pathways demonstrations to help out your members, right? Can they bring laptops into the boardroom with them?
Not sure, but they probably use an existing one, right? Or
Yeah.
right now we're all virtual, so that would work as well.
Yeah, I know that Lloyd, myself, Tekla, we've gone to multiple clubs where we've been. Make sure they have a login to Toastmasters. Make sure we have Wi-Fi. Let the members bring their laptops, and we actually sit down with them, and we do a hands-on. This is how you get started. I don't like throwing up a PowerPoint because, well, if you're like me in a professional world, you've been PowerPointed to death, and it really doesn't help a new person understand that process of getting logged in, how you get to your path, whereby if you sit down with them and they're actually following you on the computer and doing it, it's a big head start for your member and makes it easier for you to mentor and coach them moving forward.
I mean, they certainly have. It's been so long, though, that originally we did have someone come from the district to share about pathways. But I think it was so new and it wasn't maybe even quite available yet, or people weren't ready to jump into it. So maybe it was too new at that time. And there are quite a few that are in, but I don't think they've gotten much past the icebreaker, if they've done that, right? So it's just how to make them see the value and worth of it to keep going.
And again, bring it back to their members' goals, right? What do they want?
Yeah.
If I can tie their members' goals into them doing things in pathways, it's going to become more meaningful to them.
Yes.
Right? If they want to become a DTM, well, the only way they're going to do that is by completing 2 paths and pathways, right? Along with some other projects and leadership things. So make sure that always put their goals first and what the member wants to do. Otherwise, yeah, if they're just there for whatever and they don't really care about the educationals, I don't know how to motivate that person so much, right? Hey, nice to see you tonight. How are you doing?
Yeah, some of it really was about the change, right, in the program and having to start new and starting over, right? So hopefully they're going to get past that now and just see pathways.
But I don't see it as starting over. I mean, yes, I am a DTM under the legacy program, but I see it as a continuation whereby I can take all of the things that I learned from the legacy program and put it forward into pathways. So you're not really starting over. I guess you're starting over in the sense where now I've got to complete 2 paths and do this and do that. I don't know. I don't like that thought process.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, that's a good point.
If I can just add to that, Joyce, one of the ways I encourage my members to join, so say somebody has not spoken, they've taken on in all the other roles but not given a speech yet.
Yeah.
To suggest, hey, would you like to do a speech next week or 2 weeks from now?
Yeah.
And then they'll say, well, I haven't even looked at pathways, and say, hey, do you want me to help? Is there anything I can do for you? You know, that's another way. Say, you know, I can walk you through. So one of my members, I connected with them via Zoom and we shared pages. And I said, if you wanted to do your assessment, I will sit here and watch you do your assessment and I'll walk you through. And if not, and okay, there was another member that had chosen and they got 3 choices, but she wasn't sure which one she wanted. And what I did was we met over Zoom again and I said, okay, so what are your goals? Why did you join Toastmasters? What is it you're looking for? And then we read the 3 descriptions of the 3 paths. And she says, you know, I know what I want to do now. I said, okay, good. Go ahead and sign up. So eventually it was her decision, not mine. I didn't want to be telling her what to do.
Yeah, good point.
Right down to it, I would say presentation master.
And I know Sheila's got a question, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But the one thing I'd like to add, go ahead, Tekla.
I'm done.
Is part of it when I'm going to go back to Selkirk, when I came back to Toastmasters after being gone for 9 years, 10 years, and I was made the president of Selkirk. I saw the value of this right away. I tried to make a culture of a pathway speech every week.
Mm.
And at first it was slow getting going, and there was only 2 or 3 of us that were giving speeches every week. And it was like, you know what, if you're tired of listening to Dave's story giving speeches, give a speech. We've had now, in September will be 2 straight years, including Sunshine Club, of a speech every week, minimum of 1, sometimes 2 in our club.
Nice.
Because now you're setting a culture where new members coming in see that now that it's expected
Yes.
that people are giving speeches every week, and they'll catch on, and you don't have to push them that hard, right? You just guide them along. How you doing? Have you read your icebreaker? And that culture will catch on. Some easier than other clubs, but just try it. Just try to set that speech a week and have buy-in from a core group of members and watch everybody follow.
Yeah, thank you.
It's great. So Sheila asks, can I briefly state what the Pathways mentorship path is, and do you have to have a path completed? We're all starting out and have done our icebreaker, but that's it. Good question. So as you go through in all of them, and it's been a while since I've done, but you have to complete the mentorship project within your path. And once you've completed that, then you actually open up a path called Pathways Mentorship Program. And that's where you actually take on a mentee within the club, and the 2 of you work together on that project, whereby you help them set a goal, and you're working with them on short term and a 6-month out project, and you evaluate each other, and there's speeches on how well you did back and forth. So it's actually a hands-on, more practical mentoring program type of project than the I was a mentee for martial arts for 10 years under a master who was my mentor type of a 7-minute speech. That's the basic project speech out of your normal path. Does that make sense? But you have to complete that mentoring speech within your normal path before you're allowed to go to that other one. But it's not a short term. It's at least a 6-month to get everything done in there with your mentee. I'm in the middle of it, and I'm finding it quite valuable, but not everybody will, right? So it depends on what you want to do. I don't know if there's a qualification for that at the end. Tekla, do you know? I haven't completed it yet, so I can't answer that.
And it's optional.
Yeah, it is optional.
I was just wondering, because our group, Lloyd has been very good to us, but we need someone to kind of push. And so I didn't know if that was something you could do in tandem, or.
I can comment just a little bit. I just finished my level 2, and once I finished level 2 in my path, it opened up the option that I could start the mentorship path, and that was free. So I think that's where people have to get to in any path, right, to finish their level 2. Then they can start into the
right, because your mentoring
mentorship
project is in your level 2, right?
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, it just made sense as a natural progression in my first path to do that, because I have several mentees in my club, and I wanted to be able to, moving forward, have a mechanism to add more value to my mentees. So I wanted to see what ideas this program had, which was a 6-month long project with your mentee, and go through that so that I can improve myself as a mentor within my own club. So that's why I did that path. Okay. So if that's something that interests you, by all means, when you finish your level 2 in that project, if you want to do it, do that. But have a mentee when you're doing it.
Okay.
But my question to you is, many of you have been here since the very first presentation, what have you been able to take out of these presentations to your club, be it virtually or otherwise? Why don't you tell us some of your success stories from what you've learned from the three of us?
Yeah, I can mention a couple of things. I know just from the sessions we've taken, and one of them was, even just how to navigate pathways a little bit easier. There was a newer member that was just getting into pathways, and I was able to walk them through a bunch of stuff and make it a whole lot more user-friendly right off the hop than them struggling to get through everything. And the other thing that was kind of an eye-opener for me too was in the Basecamp manager and all the reporting you could get out, because going through the year, I just kept scratching my head, like, because I'm not the VP of Ed, right? I was scratching my head about, well, how do you even know where anybody is in their journey along pathways? Because like, how do you know who you maybe should go encourage, or if they're struggling or whatever? So I just really loved seeing the reports that you could get out of it, although they're not perfect, but they're not bad. You can certainly get all the information out of there that you need. So that was really helpful.
Right. And in there, it even tells you the dates on when they've completed those projects. So you can say, wow, you haven't done a project in 6
Yes.
months, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever that case may be, and you can help them out.
Well,
Perfect.
and that was what I could see. There was some people I knew they had done a speech, but they hadn't come back into Pathways to complete that project. So it wasn't flagging as it was done in Pathways, even though I know they did the speech. So it won't show on the same day they actually completed. So it's always nice to encourage them to do it the same day. So you can always say, yeah, that's the day I did my speech, rather than that's the day I updated Pathways.
Right. And that I have found on this Pathways journey is a common theme with a lot of clubs. And last year during TLI, when I did the first Basecamp manager presentation to the district, because we had been doing a lot of the member end pathways, that became very evident to me, even in my own club of 17 members, how many I know have done speeches, because I write them down we keep a chart, right, on who's doing what speeches. But there was a contrast between what I had written down and what they've completed on the computer. So I find sometimes as the VPE, you're spending time chasing, or even as the Basecamp member, chasing your members to complete things in Pathways on the computer, so that we can get their certificates printed out and present it to them in the clubs, and those type of things that I think are important to clubs, especially for newer members to see, right? I mean, some people who have their third DTM and working on their fourth DTM and its Pathways may not necessarily care about that recognition and so much for them. They may care for about their members, but so yeah, it's just something that I'm glad that you can navigate through that, Joyce, and see what's what and help your members, because sometimes people get just busy or they forget what to do, and you say, hey, I'll help you. Why don't we meet and we'll do this? So
yeah, we actually had one case too where I saw it looked like they hadn't even started their path, but when I looked back, I knew they had done their icebreaker, right? So that they've been around a little while, right? And they had obviously done some of the old legacy program. So when it came up, and everybody's talking about your first projects, your icebreaker, I guess they booked it and did an icebreaker, not even having gone into Pathways at all. I think they had picked a path, but never gone into their first project. And they gave their icebreaker speech and no one noticed, right?
Right. Well, if you've been around a while, and I know I've been guilty of it, I'm going to say the icebreaker hasn't changed from when you were doing them out of CC manuals. So a lot of people, when they come off the legacy program, will just, okay, I'm going to give an icebreaker. I've done it 17 times before, and they never go into Pathways. And that's
right. And the downside there was then they obviously didn't understand that that's where the program is now, and that's where you have to keep going on to your next project and your next project, or you won't be doing much, right?
Right. And it's getting people to read the entire project, not just the objectives and writing a speech off of that. Read the entire project, because sometimes what you're going through after reading the whole project is more than just what the objectives tell you, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Especially that learning process on your own. Yeah, go ahead, Sandra.
I'm very new to Pathways.
Yeah.
In the sense that I've been working it, but I'm just navigating for the first time.
Yeah.
Now, one of the clubs that I'm in, we have like almost 10, 12 new members. Is there an orientation piece that I'm the new VP Ed going for that club? And to have all of this, okay, we've got 1 or 2 people. Is there a sequence, a process within Pathways that I can do, for instance, an orientation one day with all of the new people? Is that offered?
Tekla, you look like you want to say something. Go ahead.
Well, what I've been doing, I think Lloyd has been doing the same thing. What I've been doing with my own clubs is doing a presentation. So if there's no speaker schedule, or I will schedule myself. One of the things we do at both 2 of the clubs that I meet at, we do what we call is weekly tip of the week, tip of the week. And during the tip of the week, we go over one aspects of Pathways. It could be logging on to Pathways, or it could be doing your assessment, and we just do that part only, and then we move on. And if there's no speaker schedule, then I will put myself in as VPE. I would put myself in as the speaker, and I go over Pathways, and then I ask members if they have any questions to ask me at that time. But we do have a time limit. And so what I do is I go find a project that will apply to this, so I make it count as a speech for my club, as well as giving information to my clubs. So that has really helped. Lloyd?
Yeah. Lloyd, go ahead.
Well, I just have to say there's these 3 wonderful people on the district that did a whole series of Pathways presentations and demos showing you from start to finish how to work your way through Pathways. And they were so good to actually put the videos on YouTube so that it would be there for other people to see. I would promote that first, because that's what we're up to, Sandra, from the start. I mean, we're trying to work through the whole Pathways thing, and I'm kidding around a bit, but we filed them all on YouTube. I sent the link earlier on in the chat to the demo site. They're all listed there. The only problem is, I think something we talked about earlier, they changed the interface a bit, but it's the same subject matter, just displayed a different way.
Right. So Sandra, you have a ton of options when you have that many new members. You can go through the videos like Lloyd had mentioned. You can have someone come in and do a Pathways demonstration or a tips of the week or an educational session within the clubs like Tekla mentioned, or you can actually sit down and show them how to go through the tutorials in Pathways themselves. Right? So there are various ways where you can help your member become comfortable and educated within Pathways. You just have to work with that member to figure out what's the best way for them. And if that means bringing someone else in who's more adept to Pathways than you are, by all means do that. And that's why the district has the Pathways coordinators and champions and positions like this to help out clubs. And area directors are becoming a lot more savvy when it comes to base camp, as are the division directors. So there is a ton of help out there for clubs. You just need to reach out and ask.
Well, what I'm planning to do is to have a Zoom meeting with all of the new people, as opposed to the entire club, and use that as an information session. So I was looking for someone that I can actually follow, that I can do that. But I prefer to defer to you, David, because you are the guru.
Yeah. Well, what I like doing, Sandra, is bringing them on and giving them a general overall where I'm sharing my screen. I'm saying, this is where you go to do this, similar to how we did within all of our videos. So I brought him in, and what I did is I had him share his screen and him go through the Pathways and logging in, and I just helped him. but he was the one doing all the clicking and pushing of buttons. So more of a one-on-one. And yeah, Pat, this is the best media for getting people to do that. It's fantastic.
And these are the best times for it too, because we have Zoom and everybody's getting used to using it. You can. Yeah. I did that. I'm hosting Seven Oaks over here, and I did that one evening with them. They were all fairly unfamiliar with it. So we actually took David through getting his level 1 certificate, and then we switched over to the VP education and walked her through giving the award and a certificate and doing it at Club Central. Such a wonderful medium when you're on here.
Yep. And just treat it like the elephant. Take one bite at a time with the club. Don't overdo it and, you know, have their brain feel like it's been in a vice, right? And you're overdoing it and it's information overload, right? Make it comfortable. And that's where Tekla's approach of a little session where you just take a piece of it, right? And that works well too. Let me see, from Lords, he says, the series of sessions gave me a better idea and understanding of pathways, and I was able to finally get to enroll myself. I am able to participate at the club's discussion about pathways. Thank you so much. Oh, no, thank you for being one of our champions on the outside and being, you know, proving that what we're doing works. Right? Because now we know that it's something that's repeatable and that anybody can do it. So congratulations to you. And it was our pleasure to put these together for you.
I'm on Pathways right now as you were speaking, and I just had a revelation that I've signed up, or I've got a Path Visionary Communication, and there's 44 activities that I've got to do.
Okay.
What do you mean?
That's my revelation.
Not necessarily, because what you're doing is you're counting all of the electives on the higher level paths. So in there, it may give you a choice of 12 electives or 8 electives to do in level 3, but you may only have to complete 2 of those, plus your main speech.
Oh.
So you don't have to do that many.
Okay.
It's about 14 projects in every path.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know in the level 5 one that I'm doing in Visionary Communications, part of them is giving multiple speeches within the same project. The same as you did with the evaluation and feedback way back in level 1. You guys remember that?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, is that a sigh of relief on your face, Sharon? Then. But the good thing is, I like the fact that within those, as you're going up, is the projects become more challenging, but it's still geared in the area that you chose, right?
And Sharon, I'm happy you started Pathways, but just take baby steps. Little steps, just you'll get there and you'll be so excited. You'll be just as excited as the old program. So yeah. I would just keep going forward.
Yeah. I mean, the new program, the old program isn't going to change the person. If you have a member of your club that was used to giving 2 to 3 speeches a week or a year, guess what? In Pathways, they're going to give 2 to 3 speeches a year. That isn't going to change, right? But you're always going to get that rabbit who wants to go, and especially if they're young and enthusiastic and in love with the program because you guys are mentoring properly. Those are the fun ones to watch because you see the change happen more rapidly in them with their self-confidence and everything else. So if you can help them along in Pathways, and those are the young ones are going to be your Pathways champions in your clubs in the future. They don't know it, but they will be. So
I got a lot of things to do in a short period of time, and then I'll come out looking fantastic due to the help that I've had and the enjoyment I've gotten from the seminars that you and Lloyd and Tekla have given. So I've got a good step up, I think, on getting going, and then from there we'll. Well, I'm not the president anymore, so I'm passing the baton on that. But certainly they've been quite enjoyable and very educational, so appreciate it.
So now that you're not the president anymore, you actually have more time to do your speeches. Is that what you're telling us, Jack? Because that's what I heard.
That's exactly it. We shall see.
Excellent.
My story, I'm sticking to it, and I don't really have any other questions, but I'm looking forward to diving in to the deep end.
And I will tell you how powerful these videos are. This year I've been teaching president every session for the club officer training, and I actually open up that link of the YouTube and I show the presidents all of those clips that we've made. Why? Because presidents are one of the 3 base camp managers, right? In Pathways, so they have to understand it. So I'm telling them, look through these, they're gold. You've got hours of easy understanding from people you know. And Harry Hobbs, who has been a Toastmaster for how long? At the end of it's like, oh my God, Dave, I learned so much tonight. And I'm like, well, I didn't really teach you anything that you didn't already know, Harry. I just put it in different context, right? So yeah, don't be afraid. Use those. That's why they're there. They work great. Anything else?
So you're saying when you actually finish finish that level 5, it's not obvious jumping out at you that you've done this amazing thing?
Well, there's my badges, and that's the Visionary Communication Proficient.
You did get it.
I mean, I got a
proficient.
certificate. I got a certificate. So,
Yeah.
but this is level
Yeah.
level 1, 2, 3, 4. You get the idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're into badges, it's fantastic. But I wasn't.
No, it would be nice to, if you went in there to quickly say, I finished these paths very quickly, and I guess it's all over the board.
Well, I have certificates for those. I cherish the certificate more than the badge.
Yeah. I do too. I like that physical, handing it to somebody, getting the picture, right? That recognition in front of the club of an accomplishment.
Get it put in a folder, hand it out. This one's upside down, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
They give you a nice certificate. Some I put in a frame.
I feel it'll be easy for people like Sheila who don't know the old program and just know Pathways, and there's less hesitation. I think it's us that have been in the legacy program that are finding it hard to switch over, and I see that in my clubs. Anybody new that has joined has no issue at all.
Yeah. Because they're not comparing.
No.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So
I find the people who've been around are comparing, well, why isn't Pathways like this? Well, never mind why Pathways isn't like this. Just the speeches all have merit. Do them. I mean, I have a DTM under the old program too, right? But
so yeah, it's gonna be good.
I would say also a lot of people newer to Pathways are those that maybe haven't dove into as much. They're just going, project by project. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure they even know what a DTM is, right? So,
and when they're new, they don't, right? And that just comes with time and learning and everything else. And if you've got a good mentor program within your club that your VPE is setting up and monitoring, and that all comes in time. Yeah, God, when I joined, I had no idea.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a progression thing, right? The world of Toastmasters starts out with that one club meeting and grows to the international organization. Yeah. So you don't want to overwhelm people either, right?
Yeah. Right. The first time I got asked to be area governor, I had no idea what that was.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So one of the things I would encourage everybody, that's Vice President of Education, anybody that's involved, make sure each of your members have a mentor.
Yes.
With Pathways expertise, and I call them buddies. And it could be 2 people that are really proficient in Pathways to be buddies. Those buddies create other buddies, and that's how you mentor each other in your club. Mm-hmm. So I would suggest doing that. So start off with 2 of you. If only 2 people know in your club, start with the two of you saying to each other, so what do I do next? I'm really confused with level 1. How do I get to the next level? It says I need to do this, and we just helped each other. And okay, you will find I did that a couple of times only. No, I've done it a few times where I've gone through pathways and it says, congratulations, you completed your level, or and I'm like, no, I'm not done yet. I haven't given a speech. What are you talking about? It's because you click and not read. But because I was in the same club as my mentor, or my buddy, he said, so you're the one that gets through pathways without doing a speech. So it's very easy to do. I don't know what Toastmasters International is going to do about that. I'm hoping they'll have checks in place so we don't get that.
So is there a way, Tekla, to undo what you did, or you just have to remember you've done it?
Yes. Well, I quickly send my VPE an email saying, not sure this person knows what she's doing, but she thinks she's completed. Please do not approve her project or her level. And they all laugh at me because they know it's coming from me, and they say, you did it again, didn't you?
Right. And then the VPA just tracks your speeches as you're presenting them until you catch up, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, as long as you let somebody know that's going to approve your level, and let them know, please don't approve of this. I haven't completed my project yet. Yeah. Okay. I just clicked the wrong button.
Yeah. Tekla, as much as you're proud of that, you're not the only one who's done that. I've done it. I think most people have done it, gone through. No, I'm not done. How did I get here?
I think the thing is, you're going through your project and you do your pre-assessment and you get to the evaluation page and you're not sure where you were at. So you start and you're thinking you're starting at your assessment, but you click the button and you're at the end and you go, just a minute. Yeah,
that's just a matter of communicating. That's all that is.
Yes. But it's a nice learning experience. As long as, and that's what I like about Toastmasters. It's a safe environment where you can learn.
Yeah, we also had the experience where, for whatever reason, club history, the VP of PR would assign the mentors, and they were assigning mentors based on who had length of time with the club, who's given speeches, that kind of thing. But when we had a good look, they were assigning people that were still in the old program to brand new members so they weren't, the mentor wasn't even in Pathways, and how on earth are they going to help the new person? So we're quickly realizing, the mentor has to be someone who's already in Pathways ahead of them.
So those of you that are taking this, I have a question for all of you. How are you going to help your club achieve 100% involvement in Pathways? Because really, it's going to be up to those of you that know Pathways to help them get there. Right? My club dynamics, I have members that age from 21 years old to 87 years old.
Wow.
And every generation in between. I have 100% of my members in Pathways. And not just I chose my path. I've actually given speeches in them. And completed it in the computer. So doing the things they're supposed to do. So as a club, how well you work together to get that done is going to speak volumes. But I think that's the goal everybody should strive for, especially now that legacy program is ending, is work on getting all of them into Pathways and get 100% of your members on Pathways.
So David, what would you say is the one or two key things that you've done to get this 100% of your members in Pathways?
Well, as I said it at the beginning when I got here, I took a couple of people that have been around a while who I showed how to use Pathways until they were comfortable. And then we just started giving speeches every week. And then people are going, oh man, you give so many speeches. And it was like, well, if you want to give a speech so that we don't have to, here's your opportunity. Have you chosen a path? And it just started growing, and more people got involved, and more people got involved, because that's the culture we set, that the expectation was there was going to be speeches every meeting. And now it's taken on a life of its own.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's wonderful. I just feel like some people feel like, well, if I'm going to, schedule myself to give a speech, I've got to give myself weeks in advance, and they got to do all this preparation, and, so somebody from start to finish a whole week to get a speech out, some people will go, well, I couldn't do it in a week.
Yeah, but everybody's a little different, right? So just help them along. I mean, gosh, how many impromptu speeches have some of us that have been around a while given? Oh, nobody's speaking tonight? I'm going to pull this one out of the back of my memory and give this speech. We've all done that. So yeah, just encourage them that that's the standard, that the gold standard for the club is you want a speech a week, and sooner or later you'll get the club there, right? Just keep getting involved in Pathways, and that's the ultimate goal. Now we don't have a choice. That's the only program we have. So why not?
Good.
Just set for them, whether they're doing 1 or 2 speeches a year or 10 speeches a year, don't matter. Just get them involved.
So I guess it's been an hour, David, and
Okay.
I just want to thank you too for joining in for this 8 sessions. It's been 16 weeks, I guess. Yeah, 4 months. 4 months we've been doing this. So thanks for jumping on the bandwagon. Thanks for jumping on the bandwagon and doing this wagon. And David, do you have any final words before we shut it down?
Just that it's great to see so many people coming back every time to learn more and complete our Pathways education that we've given out as some of your more experienced Pathways ambassadors in the district, and take that knowledge, go back to your clubs and do well with it. That's our goal. That's what we want you to do, is go back to your clubs and use that knowledge. So thank you very much, one and all. And thank you, Lloyd, for hosting these. That's been fantastic.